Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rollwise podcast, your show where we talk about things related to RPGs. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that's near and dear to at least two of us, probably all three of us, in all honesty, because we're going to be talking about a convention in Missoula, Montana, by the name of MisCon. Now, if you guys wanted to guess, two of us are going to be going to MisCon and it's not me. So we're going to be relying on Brent and Jeff to tell us a lot about their experience when they go to this local convention that has been in the town of Missoula, Montana, held there for quite some time 39 years, according to their website, with just a couple cancellations due to things beyond their control in the last few years.
The bad times.
The bad times, the darkest times. But those of you that don't know what MisCon is a convention that takes place every Memorial Day weekend in Missoula, Montana. Now, it's had a few locations. When I was living there, it was in like Ruby's, it was in like Holiday Inn, I think it was at the DoubleTree or something like that. Whatever that.
It's been in various hotels around.
Yeah, it's pretty much any hotel they can find enough space to house. The people that come travel the distance.
Couple hundred. I think my badge was 444. So there's at least 444.
Yeah, and I mean that's pre-registration. I don't know what the numbers are. I know people that have been on the con committee before, but they didn't ever reveal very much. But my guess is, from having attended, my guess is this weekend they'll get well over 1,000 people.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to give what I believe the number is going to be, but maybe somebody from MisCon will, share some attendance numbers if that's something they share. I don't know, but yeah. I think it's for a regional con, like it's pretty well attended. Like, and there are people that have been coming to MisCon year after year after year for decades. Like
yeah, well,
39 years old. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, guest speakers and other people, they come every year.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I went when I was in college and before I was in college back in Montana. And so, I mean, so just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea, it's a celebration of literacy and arts. And this is according to their website. Opportunity for aspiring writers and people to get together. Science fiction and fantasy fans can meet authors, artists, and other professionals.
You can probably meet Arthur too.
They can meet a guy named Arthur too.
Probably.
And I mean, they do their best. They've had some they've had some names show up there. They've had George R. R. Martin, I believe.
Yep, Martin was there 1 year. Yeah.
I believe Jim Butcher was there 1 year.
I believe so, yeah.
I don't know the dates that these have happened, but I just, from my own memories, I think they've had other people like.
Yes, they have other people, and they will have other people there this year. It's
whatever. There were some people that are well known that have also attended the conference, and I find that to be kind of cool because Missoula usually is kind of secreted away from the rest of the world, and so having large celebrity presences is not always common there. But the nice thing about it is they do panels, they do other types of events and stuff like that, and they have a huge gaming section where they play board games, video games, and role-playing games. And so I thought this would be kind of cool to talk about MisCon, what you guys are kind of excited about, convention scene in general, because honestly, I don't think I was ever super big in the convention scene, but I did like going to them when I had a chance to. Like I used to go to MisCon every year when I was close enough to it.
The one thing I would say is I don't think MisCon is centered so much around the gaming space as it is the writing space. They have limited role-playing games, but they have some interesting ones that I'm going to try to hit up this year. I'm kind of excited about maybe playing a game or two with people that I don't like. One thing about me in this space that's kind of interesting is I've always kind of played with the same people. There hasn't been very many times where I've done pickup tables or something like that. And I think conventions are kind of a good space to do that. Because you're not really committing to anything except showing up for that one time block, and you can find out if you enjoy the game or try different games and stuff like that. So that's something that there are a couple panels that I'm looking forward to, one or two. But yeah, I think it's really big in the writing space and the cosplay space. I think from what we looked at, like there's a lot of different cosplay panels, and there's a lot of writing panels, and a lot of their guest speakers are novel writers or comic book writers. Did you see that many comic book writers?
The guest of honor this year, I believe, is Paul Jenkins, who is a comic book writer. Like I own several Paul Jenkins comics.
Right.
I'm a little geeked out. I think it's neat. Like, I don't know that I'll meet him, but it'll be cool to just. I'm one of those people that's satisfied being in the, like in the same space. Like, I think that's just really neat. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and I think that there are those opportunities, especially when you have a chance to meet them and kind of pull back the curtain, and when you get a chance to listen to them as part of the panel discussions, you can learn some pretty cool things about it. Now, honestly, I don't think any of us would be considered expert cosplayers here. So if you're looking for the cosplay portion of MisCon, you probably come to the wrong channel. I'm sure there's probably some other.
No, but Brent's right. They have a lot of panels on
a lot of costuming,
on how to make costumes,
props,
sewing, leatherwork, props.
Yeah. A lot of prop stuff.
There'll be a costume parade tomorrow night, and I don't remember if they still walk around downtown or they just go around the hotel. I've seen them lining up for the parade, so I think they go around, the downtown area in costume, having fun, and there's always some awesome costumes. There's always some neat stuff. So,
well, and I mean, in this year, one of the people that I saw that they had, because I was looking through like the guests and all that kind of stuff, and I thought they had like an actual cosplay guest of honor. Yeah, Stephen K. Smith, SKS Props, is doing some cosplay there as well. So like, it's pretty cool. So it really has a little something for everyone and all those kind of things. And so what I found was interesting is that when I look at like the list of games and everything like that, I like playing games at conventions just for that same reason as you, Brent, is that usually I get to play a game I've never had a chance to play before, without a lot of commitment. And there's actually people that are interested in playing the game. So you get to play the damn thing. And one of the games that I saw that I thought looked pretty interesting is a game that was called Helio Sail. That looks like it's, at least on itch, the person is named, what the hell was their name?
I just think it's funny that you were looking at that and something triggered, and then you went and got the book.
Yeah, well, apparently, so this is what I think is interesting, though, is that the person who developed the game Helio Sail, which is, it's a small creator, it's an independent creator, has put together this game. They have a friend, based on what I was reading, because I think I saw on their Patreon public posts that they were going to be putting out, like a friend is going to go up and actually run it. So the friend of the creator is coming up to run the games, and it's a solar punk piracy game that seems like it has some pretty fun mechanics that it could be used and all that. And it's definitely small indie game, which is kind of where we like to take a look at. And so I admit that if I was going there, that would probably be the one game that I would clue into first before I tried to do any other games. With you guys, what games did stand out to you? If you had a chance to go to one game in the con, what game would you go to? Why?
Ironically, the game that I'm probably going to is probably a 5th edition game. There's a Dark Sun game on Saturday night that I will probably try and attend. One, I'm curious to see how they've done the conversion. And it's a setting I enjoy, so I'm just curious. Mm-hmm. And like everybody else, 5e is a game I'm familiar with, so I can sit down and know what I'm doing and not feel stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, other than I'll probably roll a lot of ones and feel stupid at that point, but I'll at least know why I'm rolling ones. Because the game sucks. That's why I'm rolling ones. I'm kidding.
Do you know the name of the adventure or setting that they're planning on doing? Did you have?
It's Dark Sun.
It's Dark Sun. Yeah. It's Saturday. It's on Saturday night. If you.
But I don't know what I don't know what they're saying. I don't think it has a name other than that.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be curious to see what your impression of Dark Sun 5th edition ends up being, if like the conversion you felt was pretty successful, or where they even got it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious if it's the official conversion on athos.org or if it's some sort of homebrew conversion. So that'll be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah. No, that's one that caught my eye. I may play some role-playing games. I may not. My partner and I are a little bit more into board games right now. Like when I'm not doing this stuff with you guys, I'm not opposed. One of the things that I really like about attending conventions, I mean, MisCon in specific, because I know people, in the community, but people are generally very welcoming. And I have been over the years roped into more than one role-playing session just by walking by the table. Like,
Mhm.
hey, do you want to play this? Have you heard about this? Do you want to play?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's always been very friendly. People have always been very open. I think that's the thing I like most about conventions is that it's a celebration of, and I'm not trying to say this to be insulting. I just don't know a better word, but geek culture,
Mhm.
whether it's gaming or art or books or cosplay or whatever happens to be your area of expertise. There's somebody there that loves it as much or more than you do, and it's in the spirit is catching. It's fun to be around people that like to do the things that you like to do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's always interesting going to convention, especially this is a little bit more wide of a convention. Like it covers a number of topics. But one of the what I used to do pre the bad times was I went to 40K conventions, specifically one in Las Vegas. And the coolest, yeah, the coolest before the bad times, when you couldn't leave your house. But the coolest thing about those conventions is the more focused the convention gets on your specific geekery, is like you can almost walk up to anybody and start talking about that specific
Mhm.
item.
Right.
Like if you were at when you were at a 40K convention, you could walk up to a table and start a conversation with somebody about 40K
Mhm.
almost instant. Like it's just so easy. And for
That's what
those of
they're there
you,
for.
yeah, and for those of you that are like more introverted, surprise everyone, and a little bit socially awkward sometimes, like being able to have that instant connection makes socializing a little bit easier.
Mhm.
And so it's the same with, kind of with MisCon, is if you can, if you're in a panel or you're in a game or a board game, role playing game or whatever,
Mhm.
it's a little bit easier to talk to people because you are all there for the same reason. You all have a love of the same thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because we have a mutual friend running a game there, as well as we have people we know by association that are DMing a bunch of games there. And I have to say the one thing, because I had asked my friend, I was like, "Are you excited to go do your thing this weekend?" Because he basically has a block of time from like 9 to 11 to run this game on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was like, "Are you excited?" And he said, maybe. And I was like, "Oh, what's up?" Well, apparently, like, and I didn't notice this when I was looking through the schedule, is that they have a tent for him to be in. I don't know if you knew that, but he's going to be in a tent outside. He's been assured that they have lights. Last year, apparently, he did this. They didn't have lights.
you want to know the funniest thing about that?
Hmm.
There was snow on the ground this morning.
Yeah, well, no,
There
that's what he
was.
said. He was like, last year they had this tent outside, and it was like, I think he said like the 80s or 70s or something like that for the weather, so it was okay. But this year it's like low of 45 tomorrow
Mhm.
with like a chance of rain, and
Oh, and yeah, it's probably gonna rain.
ooh, that sounds less than ideal. So hopefully they
No,
get some of those
no.
little
It
heaters.
sounds atmospheric, Mike.
Depending on the game, if it's a Dark Sun game, it's definitely not. I hope the Dark Sun
No,
game
if it's not,
isn't in the
isn't
rain. That's like the air. Well, this isn't very atmospheric for playing
no,
this
but,
game.
but no,
As
but the game
this,
he's leading. I mean, Brent and I played in one of his trial sessions.
Mhm,
Like it's a good game, and he runs it well. It's
Mhm.
going to be successful. It's going to be
yeah,
cool. But
no,
it might be atmospheric for that one.
It will,
yeah,
but that game, that it will be atmospheric for that game.
yeah. It's just funny because when he mentioned it was going to be like 50s, I was like, ooh, ooh, that's cold, and
Bring
especially now
bring
that
bring
Welcome to
coats.
springtime in Montana.
Yeah, bring coats.
Yeah,
And then
weather's subject to change at any moment.
that is the only thing. The only other thing that I worry about this convention in particular is the sign up process for games, because there's limited. Anytime any of you who haven't gone to a convention, there's like limited seats usually for the games that you want to play,
Mhm.
so you kind of have to get there quick. And I'm a little worried that some of the stuff's going to fill up before we can sign up. Like, do the
No,
panels have sign up sheets, or can you just
I
show up?
think the panels are first come, first serve, and some of them fill up fast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like some of the ones because they do have a pavilion outside under a tent, where sometimes they do some of the larger ones, like when the
Mhm.
ballrooms are taken up with something else. Uh, that they fill up pretty fast, and people are standing around the edges. Um,
But
it's like anything. I mean, I've gone to Comic Con before in San Diego, and some of the panels there, there's the
there's
wall
lines.
leaners. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's lines to get into places, and they will cut you off because of the fire marshal.
Mhm.
I have seen people at different conventions. leaning on the dividers that aren't meant to be leaned on, like they're a wall. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they cause problems. And
yeah, and truthfully, like, but I think, I think when I was going to MisCon back in the day, like they had wall signups. I admit, back in the day before the internet was a huge thing.
Well,
um,
I don't know what the right system is, but they do have the wall signups.
mhm,
I think it works for them.
yeah,
The fear with putting up something online is somebody doing like the Ticketmaster thing and putting themselves down in 100 different games where they can only play in 2 of them, and
yeah,
taking up actual seats. I don't know.
yeah. No, I don't know the answer either.
I've
But yeah,
never
I
run a
found the signups
convention,
to work
so
just fine. Honestly, I got to enough games, and I feel like what you said, is that as you walk by some rooms, you just gotta get pulled into a room and play.
well, there
Right.
are
If
impromptu
there's
games that start up if there's
or
room
open spots in
yeah.
games where they'll try to
Yeah,
pull
because
people into games.
that was the first time I ever played Traveler. Was like I was literally walking by a room, and another friend of mine was like, "Hey, Mike, come here," and I was like, "Okay," you know.
That's how I got roped into an Aberrant game. Was they just had open seats at the table, and they're like, "Hey,
Mhm.
we know you. The buddy I was with. They were like, we know you. Come play in this game and bring him." And we have characters, and so I sat down and we played that game. Not much of it was memorable, other than I played a character called the Tiny Bullet, which was a guy that shrunk down and then shot through people in a most aggressively violent way I've ever had
Oh,
in a
that's
game.
interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It is weird. Sounds like you wouldn't do very well surviving that, but I guess if that's your special power, that's your special power.
He was dangerous. He was a living bullet, is basically what he was. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. And they're like, yeah, exactly what you're thinking. And I was like, that's horrible.
Well, you go fast enough. I guess you don't have to worry about it. But no, so that's good. And I honestly, when I was looking at some of the panels too, I thought the panels were, I have had good luck when I went to panels in my own convention life. I think one of the largest conventions I ever went to was NorWestCon over in Seattle. I think that was maybe SeaTac area, I guess. But like NorWestCon, I was able to get into some really good panels that talked about a lot of good fiction things. I met some of my favorite authors there, which was really the reason why I went to NorWestCon in the first place. Is I was actually looking to meet Jim Butcher for because I'm super fan here. Back how many years ago was this? 10+ years ago. Not to say that I'm less of a fan today. I just haven't necessarily followed his work as closely as I did back then. But good panels, and so I feel like there's probably some good panels that could be, or at least potentially some
Yeah,
good panels.
I'm trying to chart some out. We always try to take I go in with a plan, but I leave myself enough freedom that nothing is actually essential at any given moment, because you
Mhm,
never know when you're going to get a chance to play a game that you've never played,
mhm,
or talk to somebody that you haven't seen for several years, or
mhm.
yeah, like things just happen when you're there, right? It's
Yeah,
like I'm walking through the art show a couple of years ago and I go, that artist's name sounds familiar. And it was somebody who was you know, an acquaintance that I knew from years ago, and I that actually bumped into them and got to talk to
mhm,
them and say, "Hey, I didn't know you were doing art, but that stuff's really impressive. Like, it's kind of cool
yeah. Well, and
when
sometimes you
stuff like that
find.
happens." So
Yeah, well, and sometimes you find that there's some like weird topics that you might not have been interested in, because I did a pretty good look through, and I was just like, I wouldn't have necessarily said I'm going to the convention to go to this, but I saw this talk,
yeah,
and if it happened to not coincide with anything else, but it was like basically there were two talks. One was the art of collaborative world building, which I would love to hear people's thoughts on, because that's a very fun topic in terms of like how we play games and everything like that. But then right at the same time, there was a talk, the man behind the genre, Akira Toriyama, basically talking about one of the most renowned names in animation, and I was like, I might actually go to that instead to see what people talk about with Akira Toriyama and all those kind of things, because if my memory serves, I think he did something little small anime like Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that.
yeah, just
Um,
a minor one.
Tiny
yeah, just
one stuff no one's ever heard of.
So, some of my
yeah.
favorite panels ever have been ones that I went to that I was sort of so-so on based on the title.
Mm-hmm.
And they did talk about what was on the title, but then these interesting discussions came up because they allowed dynamic question and answer, type stuff. And you start learning more and more about a topic you didn't even know that was going to be considered because,
Mm-hmm.
there was time and people were there, just like our conversations go. One of the reasons that we're doing this now is because we've always enjoyed discussing games and game theory and playing games. And we wander a bit. If anybody has watched the channel, there can be some rambling like now, but Jeff's off the outline again. Like there's an outline.
we're unscripted, so obviously you are here.
Yeah, but you need to be open to the experience because cool things will happen.
I think the key, and this is something I struggle with, is the key to going to any convention is just be involved, like do things.
Yeah.
Find something cool and just do it.
Yeah. And look for the weird stuff, because I have to say that some of the conventions I went to, there was some weird shit that was happening. Like, I can't name names because I don't remember any of the names, but one time when I was at a certain convention that I can't remember, basically there was a, are you of the age of drinking? And I was like, yes. Would you like to come into this room? And I said, sure. And one time I was indoctrinated into this moose mug club, which that was fun. And then another time I was given this green liquid, which they didn't explain to me what it was. And I just said, what the hell? They probably aren't trying to poison me. I have to say that was probably the most drunk I've ever been.
Yeah, there are room parties. I know. I've been to some. I have not been to some. I have said no. I don't feel like drinking this weekend. So at times, I saw a panel on sake making, one on mead making. There's a sake tasting and a whiskey tasting. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and you'll meet people and you'll see people, and you'll play games, you'll do stuff, you'll have conversations, and it'll be a great time. I
hope so.
Yeah.
Because when we ask the next time, like, how did it go? You guys have to tell.
Well, my partner's getting me to dance. I don't dance a lot, but there's a nerd prom on Sunday night that we'll go to. I believe there's a masquerade ball that she is currently making masks. What?
Do we say pics or it didn't happen? Is that what we do? Or
I'm sure she will take some pictures. I am not taking any. No.
We'll put it up on shorts. That'll be our first YouTube stories.
No, I am not the world's greatest dancer, but sometimes you do things for the people you love.
It's true. It's true.
It's fun. We had fun last year.
Good. So, well, we'll see how it all goes. Honestly, I personally can't say, I can't say that I can go this year, but I would love to go. I think it would be a lot of fun to go to the convention and see what's happening. Because I do miss the convention scene, at least. This kind of weird. It's almost like you step outside your world and get to another one. And then, of course, this year's theme is Dark Forest, and one of the panels is like how to create a Dark Forest adventure, which I totally could have used for our Fabula Ultima game. Just 6 months too late.
Yeah, it's information. I mean, maybe we'll get to go to that, maybe not.
I think one of the most interesting things about this particular convention is that it covers a variety of topics, which makes this one interesting. Like there are conventions that you go to that are more focused on a specific, like Anime Con's convention, anime conventions specifically, wargaming conventions. Like they're a lot more. You have to be involved with that one thing. So. And we're kind of hoping in the future, Gen Con someday, maybe.
Yeah. We should. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Or we could go to the UK and have fun over at their conventions too, because they look like they have some fun ones.
That sounds more expensive.
Business expense? When we make a business?
So, all of you, those of you out there, please continue to follow, like, subscribe, and someday pay us money. I don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. At least nowhere fast.
There you go.
So that's our story. We're sticking to it. We're excited to see what these gentlemen will see at MisCon and report out to us on what they learned, what topics we can talk about on stream, and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully it's epic and fun. So
It'll definitely be fun.
I'm shooting for fun, so
at least a little fun, and stay away from all the goo that comes from cons. I think there's like con crud. Is that a thing? I've heard.
yeah, that's always a.
Anytime you pack enough human beings into a small enough space, there's a chance for, not to get too weird about stuff. But yeah.
Don't catch the con crud is all I'm saying.
Always a bit of a concern.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all we're going to talk about today. Have fun, take care, do all that stuff. And Jeff, if people want to tell us their experiences with the con outside of the comments below, where would they go?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook threads and Twitter. We are at rolewise, or you can email us your experiences, rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
And we hope that you take some inspiration to get out there, visit some conventions, meet some people, have some fun. And as always, roll well, roll wise, and be safe out there. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.